Hey guys, it is Fits Like a Glove. We are back with another episode. It is around 9:30 p.m. where we are, and we are all ready for bed, but I really wanted to do this video. So let me go get my husband, comment, like, subscribe, because we really want to get you guys feedback on everything we do. Alright guys, so I went and got my husband. We are ready to get into this topic. It is actually a movie review today on fatherhood. So within this, I kind of wanted to get a Black father's point of view on a lot of things about this movie. Just to sum it up, this movie is a Netflix original. It stars Kevin Hart. He is a single Black father raising a daughter. His wife died not too long after giving birth to their child. And it just shows his journey of being a single father. So babe,
What up?
how did you like the movie? Like, I just want to know your just viewpoints on the movie.
Like on scale of 1 to 10 or just?
I mean, we could do a 1 to 10. Yeah, let's do a 1 to 10 first.
My viewpoint, I felt like it was like a 6 or a 7. 6.5. Since I say 6 or 7, 6.5 out of 10. I don't think it was the greatest. I don't think it was the worst. It wasn't mediocre. It was just kind of like it was a good movie. It was a good movie. It had some high points, had some low points. For me personally, I got bored in a couple of spots, and I was on my phone in a couple of spots. So, I mean, for me, it's a 6.5. So,
I did get emotional during the movie. A lot of people got emotional during the movie. But I think I say it's only because I've lost a parent, and I feel like if you lost a parent or a child, it will make you emotional.
mm-hmm.
So I will say that for the people who have not seen the movie yet. But on the whole single dad aspect of it, how do you think they played that?
His circumstances were vastly different from a lot of single fathers. And not, I mean, spoiler warning, we've already went over that. I mean,
it's already a movie review, so.
He's rich. And not like a typical rich. He is definitely high 6-figure rich. And that makes a world of a difference when you have kids. It doesn't matter if you don't have all the resources. You can find them when you have a certain income. And I've talked about this before. When you have money is just a tool, and that tool buys a lot of other tools that make your life very easy. And he struggled with what every parent struggles with, which is raising kids. And I don't think that that's very difficult. I think the difficulties come in with money and providing, and he didn't have that issue at all in the movie. Did he not know how to do certain things? Yeah, absolutely. But single parents deal with that, and we deal with that. I have 2 children. We deal with that. It's not easy raising kids, but it's a lot easier with money because there are certain stresses that you don't have to deal with financially. Do you still have to deal with the emotional, the trauma, and everything else? Absolutely. And plus, he lost his wife. So I think that they portrayed that part very well, the losing of his wife, and then trying to be a girl dad, because I struggle with that as a girl dad. I think having a girl is one of the hardest things because the way that they depend on you as a father, even as a young age, it's just different. And I think that they portrayed that very well. Your daughter just holds a different place, a different priority with you than your son. Because I have both. I have a boy and a girl, and they both hold special places, but one just has a different type of hold on me than the other. because I know her life will turn out vastly different based solely on the way I act. Because then she'll learn love that way, and she'll receive love that way, and she'll also give love that way. Same for my son, but he'll be more so giving. And so I think that for Kevin Hart's character, based on a true story, I think that they portrayed it well. I think that he played the role well. I think that I connected really well with him. But I also feel that the negatives for me, and this is just solely for me, and I could be heartless, to be honest with you. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. But I just felt like, when you have a certain status and a certain, like he didn't get fired for bringing his daughter to work. He didn't get fired for missing work. Like, those are things that people actually do get fired for. And so I just think when favor is on your side, a lot of the times when you have a high income, then life is just a little bit, easier. I hate to put it like that, but it is, even if you're a single parent. And he had a whole lot of support. He didn't have, like, certain people, when they become single parents, they don't have anything. They don't have any support. And I'm not talking about the generalized. I'm just talking about the point of being a single parent is hardship. It is extremely hard. It is very difficult. And I just felt like in that instance, like, he didn't really have a bunch of hardships. And I'm not saying he should have. I'm just saying that as far as being a single parent, that there are certain hardships that they go through that no one on this planet will ever understand, unless you're a single parent. We have a 2-parent household for our daughter, and there are certain things that when she slacks, I pick up. When I slack, she picks up. And so single parents don't have that, but he did. When he slacked, everybody else picked up for him, both families. And when that's just my critiques of the movie, and I'm not saying that that's bad in any case. I'm just saying that as far as like a single parent, and for his situation, I just kind of felt like movie-wise, if you were trying to portray how hard it was, it just didn't seem that hard to me. I think the hardest part of that movie for me was if I lost my wife, because I feel like for my daughter, she is better. I feel for my son, she is better. I feel like I am just kind of like the financial person that keeps the house going, and I can feed people. But as far as like building it up, putting it together, like, she does all that. Keeping it together, she does all that. Her family helps out more than mine. And so I'm with Kevin Hart on that, on his character on that, because I felt that if I lost my wife, I would be just like him. I'd be lost. It'd be hard for me to move on. And so I just think that's where the movie kind of missed me, was the other aspect of trying to show the hardship. It wasn't really a hardship, and I think for me that made it kind of boring. So that's my perspective.
I mean, my perspective, I had some of the same critiques, especially with him being a Black father. Personally, a lot of Black fathers I know don't have it that easy. Like you said, they can't bring their kid to work and still have a job. They usually are not set financially, and they usually don't have a huge support system within that. So I didn't feel like it was realistic in a way, especially for Black fathers. I didn't feel like it was realistic. But I mean, it is a good movie. I just didn't feel like it was realistic for our Black fathers. But I do have a couple questions that I wanted to ask, just being on the topic of fatherhood. One is, what is a single parent? Because I know there's a lot of people who feel like, hey, we co-parent, but we're both still single parents. So explain what a single parent is.
Single parents don't have a partner or a co-parent. A single parent is someone who does everything for the child. There's no child support. There's no order for child support. There's no significant other in the picture. There's no one else. It's just them. And then it would be them and that family, because that family has to support that single entity that is building this child. And sometimes they don't have that support. If you co-parent, sad to say, you are not a single parent. If you receive child support of any stature, sad to say, you may be single and you may be parenting, but you get help. You receive help from that parent. So you would technically not be a single parent. Even the definition of a single parent, just by our old friend Mr. Google, what is a single parent? A person bringing up a child or children without a partner. And so once again, partner to me is defined as someone helping you. And that someone is your significant other who you made the kid with, or that one night stand, or whoever you made your kid with. But if you receive anything from that person and that person is trying, you're not a single parent. A single parent is just like that definition, without help from your partner. Any partner that you have you're like, I hate to put it like that, because there are a lot of people who feel like they're single parents that are not single parents, and they will push that, and they're not single parents because they receive text messages saying, "Can I see them?" You're not a single parent if someone's texting you that. I hate to put it, even if they see them, once or twice a year, you're not a single parent. Someone's trying. If they're trying to be there and they have a circumstance of being poor and broke are two different things. If they're broke and they're trying to be there, it's a little bit easier to be there. When they're poor, they have nothing going for themselves, not even a job, they can't get a call back, or they're trying to finish college, or whatever the decision and situation may be. I think for the Black, entity as a whole, I've talked about this before, 64% of Black households are single mothers, meaning that there are another 64% of men who have children with those single mothers. So you have to understand that if a man's asking to be there and if a woman's asking to be there, you're just not a single parent. You may do things by yourself financially. That doesn't make you a single parent. You may have to wake up every day with that kid and take him to daycare or take him to school, but you're not a single parent. Because if you can, at the drop of a dime, say, "Can you come get your child?" and they live with you for the rest of their life, and they go, "Yes," then you have never been a single parent. That's just the realest I can be with that. And some people may critique that, and I would love to hear like the other ideas or even single parents who may say, "Hey, I am a single parent even though I received the help." I would just like to hear that viewpoint, because like I said, for me, I would never say I'm a single parent, even if we weren't together, because I know she'd help and she'd be there, even if she was thousands of miles away. Even she'd be there financially or in some way, or she'd even come and see her daughter, whatever, But for me, I've seen single parents. My father was a single parent. My mother at one point was a single parent, and I just the difference. Of no one being there, it's different, man. When you have no one to call to say, "Hey, come get them," when you have no support from that partner, not from your family members, but from that partner, they don't reach out, they don't call, they don't do anything. I've seen it, and trust me, it's different. It's very different because your children feel it. But if they call at least once and they try to work it out with you and they try to do things with you, I'm sorry, you're just not a single parent. You're just being difficult, and you need to grow up.
Sorry guys, I had to clap on that one. I got another question. You did mention already that you have a son and a daughter. So my next question is, what have been some differences when it comes to being a father to them? So basically, what is the difference about raising a boy versus raising a girl?
Attitudes. And my attitude. I was very young when I had my son. My son is 6, so 6 years ago, I was 22. And I was married at the time, not to my wife, but I was married before my wife. And so, I was ignorant, and so that came with a lot of hardships and bumping my head too. Even when she met me, I wasn't that mature. I was only 23 and a half, 24. So I wasn't that mature, but at the same time, I was hurting because I was going through a divorce. My son at that point, like the way I was trying to raise him wasn't right. I was trying to be this macho, manly man, and I think we try to do that to our sons as Black men to prepare them for the world that they're going to have to deal with. Because it won't be fair. It won't be honest with them. It doesn't matter how many degrees they get, they're still gonna be a black dude. And that black, that black enforcement is gonna be enforced upon them even when they aren't looking, even when they aren't around, even when they are doing their best in life to succeed. That being black is so unsustainable in this culture. And I think when we become successful, we forget that sometimes, hey, we still black. And when we go somewhere, we're still black. And if we do something, we're gonna be reminded how black we are. Because those people who have gathered around you, who supported you at one point, that don't look like you, will disappear. And I've seen that. It's happened to me. I think it's happened to many of black fathers, which is why they have that instance when they have sons, to prepare them at a very young age to attack this world without anybody, which is why it's hard for black men to have sustainable relationships. It's hard for black men to have best friends. And when they do have best friends, I mean, they're willing to die behind them. And sometimes like that mentality, it's toxic, but it's toxic because the world has been toxic to black men. And I'll get to black women in a minute when I talk about my daughter. But focusing just on my son, the biggest difference for me was learning how to be a man. Not just a black man, but how to be a man. Well, what is a man? A man, and I have great respect for my father, but I am at this point not really like my father anymore. And I think I was the young version of my father when you met me. I think that's for sure, because he even's older than. But I think when he looks at me now, I've grown past that point where he was in his life at my age. And I think he is proud of that. And I think that I want my son to not be me at 22, because I was reckless, I was stupid. I mean, I'm just being as completely honest as possible. And I wanted to keep my son from that. So I was just too hard. It was just too hard. And now I feel like I'm too soft, but I remember like, hey, your dad was hard on you and it didn't turn out well. So when you have a son, your son is still a boy until he's a man, and he doesn't become a man when you say he is. He becomes a man when he's not in your house. He's making his own decisions. He's growing from those decisions. He's falling. He's getting back up, and he's calling you saying, hey, Dad, I just need to talk. He's becoming a man then. But everything you teach him up until that point is what's going to stick with him. And I think that was the hardest thing for me to learn, is that everything my dad tried to instill in me, I remember now. And I ignored it when I was 22. I ignored it when I was 23. I ignored it when I was 24. But once I got 25, 26, I changed a lot into the man that I am right now, because I started to remember my father's words. So my daughter, on the other hand, is for, being transparent. I didn't really have a motherly figure growing up. My mom was there, yes, I had a stepmother, but as far as like a womanly presence that was nurturing and loving, telling me I love you, telling me, hey, when life gets tough, I'm there for you, or just even when I needed it. I wasn't the best child, but at the same time, I never had that touch of a woman either. And so even for my wife, it was very difficult for her to deal with that up front. And so, at this point, I'm just very patient with my wife. I'm very understanding of her and her essence and what she brings to me and how good of a man she makes me. So I just transfer that to my daughter. And I think that's the biggest difference, is that, I have to remember that my daughter's gonna grow up and say, well, Dad, how was your mother? How was grandmama? And I'm gonna tell her I didn't have a grandmother. My grandma died way before I was here, both of them. And so, she will meet her grandmother, and she won't meet mine. She's gonna learn what happened to both granddads. She's gonna meet my dad, but she won't meet her. So, we have to think. I have to think in terms of that. Is that she won't be able to see, but she's gonna have those questions of, well, Dad, why you treat me this way? I'm like, well, I treat you like I treat your mother. well, Dad, why you treat Mama that way? Well, I didn't have, a mom, so I don't really know how to raise you. I don't know how to, deal with, you when you act crazy. I just have to figure that out as I go. And she does act crazy, and she'll get mad, and I'll just be sitting there chilling because I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to yell at her or let her go crazy. I don't know, because when she gets mad, I just kind of let her do her thing. It's like everything in life that you deal with, you deal with it, and you just move on, and it's your past, and you grow from it, obviously. But
our daughter is only 1, so we're still working on that.
Nah, she crazy. She gonna be crazy. She gonna grow up crazy. I'm telling you.
We're working on it.
Dads, if you have girls, I'm telling you, bruh, just be, hey man, 1 years old hit, they just fall out. They look at you crazy. She frown up at us. I'll be like, I'll snap back to them, wolf girl. But anyways, yeah. How do you feel? You raised a boy too. Well, you weren't there for his birth, but what's the difference? What you feel?
I do feel like you have to be a bit tougher with boys, just because they will grow to be providers and, head of households, and they just have to have tougher skin than girls do. Girls, you can be a bit more gentle, but not super soft, because you still have to think about what if they want to grow up and don't want a husband and they want to be single for the rest of their life. They still have to have a level of tough skin to know how to live that single life without a man to protect you at every step. So I would say that's my 2 big differences right now. That may change as my daughter get older, but for right now, that's my answer. I do have one more question for you before we wrap things up. What is one piece of advice you can give about just bringing up a kid in general?
That kid's life is not your legacy. That kid's life is their life. And they have the right to live their life, not up to your standards. If they choose to be something that you don't appreciate or like or disagree with, you have to still love them. Because the one thing that they never asked for is to be here. And that choice was never given to them. You made it, you live with it. They have to make a choice to live for themselves, and you have to make a choice to support your children. Never kick your children out, because they have a life that they have to live. Your life is lived by you. And if you remember that, you'll be the best parent that you could ever be. Because it'll always be about teaching and growing with them, not teaching and growing them into what you want to be. Let them live. That's the best advice I can give to you.
All right. I think that was a great way to close out. At the end of the day, this video was about Black fatherhood. If you haven't seen the movie Fatherhood, please watch it. Comment down below any comments that you have for us today on this video. Like, subscribe, and if you have seen the movie Fatherhood, please give us a thumbs up so we know you've seen it. All right, catch us next time. Thank you guys.